Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, December 11th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, today we start with the Feast of Our Lady of Angels in the forest of Livry near Paris, also known as Notre Dame des Anges. In 1222 or 1212, it's not exactly clear which one it is, three merchants who had been ill-treated by robbers who tied them to trees and intended to leave them to die, called out to the Blessed Virgin Mary, who immediately sent them three angels to give them back their freedom. After this miracle, several more miracles were wrought, and so this chapel was made to recall them. The Cathedral of St. Mary in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, was consecrated on this day in 1957. Our Lady of Warag in Warag al-Khazar in Giza in Egypt, there were luminous apparitions that began in 2009 atop St. Mary's Coptic Church. I think this had some sort of, there's quite a bit of news about it back in the day. Also, we have some early feasts of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So the Church of Nostra Signora di Guadalupe a Monte Mario in Rome, Italy. The image was crowned on this day in 1955. And the Church of Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe del Puente in Arapuauto, Guanajuato in Mexico. The church there was dedicated on this day in 1877. For today's reading from True Devotion to Mary by St. Louis de Montfort, we continue with part 2 on the most excellent devotion to Our Lady, or perfect consecration to Jesus through Mary. We're in section 4, particular practices of this devotion, and today we'll conclude subsection 1, talking about these external devotions. We'll have the 6th and 7th practice, and again, these are external, not so much that, people see us and praise us, but like Jesus Christ says, that people may see the good that you do and give praise to God. So again, what are these 7 external practices? Well, we've seen the first 5. First, we said it's to make that preparation, again, for about a month before making our consecration and then actually renewing that consecration each year. So he says, 12 days trying to get rid of the spirit of the world. And then we have, a week, thinking on our lowliness. And it's another week thinking of asking to know Mary. And then another week asking to know Jesus. The second practice is they pray the little chaplet of the Blessed Virgin. The third practice is some sort of physical sign like an ankle bracelet or a chain. The fourth is to be very devoted to the Incarnation of the Word, the celebration of March 25th. The fifth practice is to have great devotion in saying the Hail Mary. And then the sixth practice, it says, is to thank God for the graces He's been given. And then the seventh practice is to despise, hate, and eschew the corrupted world. Right? So again, the sixth practice, this is point 255. To thank God for the graces He has given to Our Lady, those who adopt this devotion will often say the Magnificat, as the Blessed Mary de Orgenes did, and many other saints. It is the only prayer, the only work, which the Holy Virgin composed, or rather which Jesus composed in her, for He spoke by her mouth. It is the greatest sacrifice of praise which God ever received from a pure creature in the law of grace. On the one hand, it is the most humble and grateful, and on the other hand, the most sublime and exalted of all the canticles. There are in that song mysteries so great and hidden that the angels do not know them. The pious and erudite Gerson employed a great part of his life in composing works upon most difficult subjects, and yet it was only at the close of his career, and even then with trembling, that he undertook to comment on the Magnificat, so as to crown all his other works. He wrote a folio volume on it, and brings forward many admirable things about that beautiful and divine canticle. Among other things, he says that Our Lady often repeated it to herself, and especially for Thanksgiving after communion. The learned Benzonius, in explaining the same Magnificat, relates many miracles wrought by the virtue of it. And he says that the devils tremble and fly when they hear the words, Fecit potentiam in braccio suo, dispersit superus mentis cordis sui. He has shown the strength of his arm, and has scattered the proud in their conceit. So, in other words, again, also, we said, to pray the Hail Mary with devotion, but he says also pray the Magnificat often, as a prayer in thanksgiving for, the goodness and God, right? The goodness of God who's given us this mother. And the seventh practice, 256. Those faithful servants of Mary who adopt this practice ought always greatly to despise, to hate, and to eschew the corrupted world, and to make use of those practices of the contempt of the world which we have given in the first part of this treatise. So in other words, it's a constant attitude to reject, the world and its enticements, and rather to always focus on Jesus Christ and on Mary.
If you found this video fruitful, please feel free to share it with a friend, a family member, or if you would like to learn more about our missionary priests throughout the world and how to support them, please visit ive.org. Thank you for watching, and God bless.